All right, let's start the meeting, call it to order and start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
More fun. Yes, sir. Before we move forward, yesterday was Veterans Day. If you are a veteran, we'd ask that you please stand up and let us say thank you for your service to the country. To the veterans.
All right, thanks for coming. It's a full house. Some of you don't have an option. All students, I suppose. Okay, communications and presentations.
Are you here because you have to do a class too?
You
All
need
right.
to sign your paper for you, sir. 45 minutes to an hour. Do not fall asleep or you stay long. Okay, are there any requests from persons wishing to speak?
I haven't gotten anything.
I just want to make a quick comment. You're gonna have the bathrooms done, the softball field by Friday, right? No. By Friday. Whew. Thanks. I appreciate it.
2.2 full faith and credit project report. Are there any questions? Any questions on the enrollment report? Consent agenda 3.0 can be approved by a single motion.
Member Schmidt moves and we accept the consented agenda as presented.
Member Smith seconds.
Having a second, Tanya can have a roll call vote. Any discussion? Hearing none. Chad? Member Dipdahl?
Yes.
Member Smith,
Yes.
Member Sable,
Yes.
Member Brownell,
Yes.
Member Schmidt,
Yes.
Member Richardson,
Yes.
Member Wolf.
Yes. 4.0 reports, Lincoln Elementary School. Oh.
Okay, I'm going around.
Okay, heavy traffic out there.
I know. All right. Good evening, everybody. We are super excited to be here tonight with some amazing educators and amazing students who are going to share about a few things here today. What we're going to start with, our entire presentation is all about how at Lincoln we're working really hard to focus on connection, belonging, and student agency. We're looking at how we get students involved, right? We know that sense of belonging and connection is the precursor to academic success and life outcomes. And so we are working really hard on coming up with as many ways as we can for students to have a voice and have a sense of belonging. So I want to introduce our amazing educators here. We have Mr. OK Carr. Teaches fourth grade. This is Angie Lamonaco, fourth grade. Miss Brabham, fourth grade. And Mrs. Tara Olson, their first grade. Elizabeth, third grade. And I'm going to say these teachers are just a handful of the amazing educators we have at Lincoln that are doing so many things to give kids an opportunity and a voice. I'm going to let the kids introduce themselves. We'll start here with Miss Olivia.
Lacey Converse, and us. Nathan Olson, Mariah So, Wyatt Hawkins.
All right. So, we're going to kick it off. We're going to get
Gather round for K-Roll.
before we talk about this.
So I'll introduce this. So a few years ago, there was a group of kids who didn't go to Leander Strings, and I started a TV show student-led TV show, and it kind of took off, and it's gotten better and better each year. Took a break last year, end of the year we started it up, and we're going strong this year, and it's just a way for kids to connect and see what's going on around the school, showcase art. It's a lot of fun. You'll see this one. We focused. Some of the kids focused on the after-school programs. Just want to show you what's going on at Lincoln after school, and then we've got a couple of reporters here too that are going to just talk real briefly about what it's meant to them to be reporters and what they've learned. So yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Gather round for K-Roar, where the kids take the stage like never before, asking questions, jokes with the weather in store. Every day's a surprise, yeah, what's not to adore? Sing it loud, K-Roar, every kid's got a voice to soar. Sing it loud, K-Roar, la la la, what the smiles are for. Teachers, friends on the show, telling tales, sharing laughs, watch the confidence grow.
Class with trays, you know it's the scene. Talking about the week and what it might mean. Monday ride the wave, forecast it clean. Tell you about the special mac and cheese supreme. Rains, blues to sunny skies. We predict the highs, nevertheless.
Welcome back, everybody. Yesterday, there was no school and happy Veterans Day. Today, it'll be a high of 55 degrees and a low of 46. The lunch choice will be fish sticks or baked potato.
In the room with Olivia, you know it's a slay. Carry the tray, shine, lighting up the way. Join the dance, feel the beat. Let's get
Kiss me. Max. Jake. Blake. Kalia. What does gratitude mean to you? Being loving. Thankful. Being kind. Being kind. And being respectful. Now, what could you do to show gratitude? You could write a letter. Give someone a hug. Give someone a present. You could write them a letter. You can make something for them. We're grateful for you!
In the classroom every morning,
Jade and his friend.
with fuzzy brows right on his hand, showing off highlights, every lesson plan. They'll take you to a world.
I'm going to be exploring the after-school clubs with Fuzzy the Grouch.
Hey everybody, I saw a bunch of kids out there dancing and singing. What's going on?
I'm glad you asked. We are putting on a pirate play, and we have a drama club that is getting ready for the dialogue and the lines and the staging and the props that are starting to come in. So we're having a lot of fun, and can't wait. It's 4th and 5th grade play. In November, in a few weeks.
Can I interview some of your actors?
Absolutely.
How are you doing drama club and what's your favorite part? My favorite part of it is like you have to be like excited and ready for your part, and you have to be like you have to have a certain voice in every part. What are you learning in drama club? How to act and how to be on stage. Aren't you in drama club?
Yeah.
What's your part?
Purple beard.
That's really cool. I am a blue beard.
We're here with another incredible after-school program, which is Chess Club.
I love chess.
Let's go find out more about Chess Club. Come on, Fuzzy.
What do you like about chess club?
I like it very much. It's a nice calming game where you just get to use your mind and think.
How long have you been in chess club?
This is my 3rd year.
I heard you got to go to state.
Yeah, up in Portland. Yeah, that's pretty fun. It was just really quiet in the rooms, and it was a lot of fun to go to Portland for the first time.
How do you like chess club?
Great.
What kind of things are you learning in chess club?
Self-awareness, because you can use that even in chess and not in chess.
What do you like about chess club?
You can do different strategies.
that you have multiple players so that you're not playing the same person all the time.
And also I'm learning like sportsmanship, like in how to be mindful and stuff.
What do you enjoy about teaching chess club?
I enjoy being able to get to know kids that aren't in my class, and I love the game of chess and being able to help you guys become better players. It's a lot of fun.
We teach our kids all kinds of things. We teach them good openings. We teach them about the mid game and the end game. And also we teach them about mindfulness and how to be present in the moment and how to deal with disappointment if they lose a game. So kids are learning all kinds of things in Chess Club. I love it. I love teaching these kids. The kids are awesome here. They do such a great job. Thank you, Fuzzy.
Hey everybody, I'm with
Mrs. Blair.
Lucy. I heard you're part of Smile Club. What's that?
Smile Club is a new club here at Lincoln that we do Mondays after school, and we do fun stuff with science and math. What do you guys think?
I think it's great and a great opportunity to learn science in a new fun way. It's a good opportunity like to learn about nature and the things around you, and like just to learn science. That sounds incredible.
Welcome to Rican Spot, where colors bloom and play. Masterpieces shine on this bright city.
And today I'm with
Olivia.
Elijah and Logan. Can you guys tell me about your guys' art?
So we read a book about picturesque journeys, and it was about this girl. She was like paralyzed and got in a bus crash, and so she had a mirror in front of her, so her parents got her like paint and like a canvas, and she started painting herself. So we drew self-portraits inspired by Frida Kahlo. And I really liked how you added a bunch of colors and you made yourself.
Yo, sissy boogie cookie, I wanna think, let's go. Let's go, let's go. Talking about being the best, you know how to roll. Yo, you how to roll. We follow the rules, say what's right, that's how we go.
Hi, this is MC Rookie Cookie, and we have been having some trouble on the playground with physical aggression and people putting their hands on each other. So I'm about to go into a first grade classroom and see what they have to say. Not being rude back. I'll rather say, go tell a teacher if they don't stop. I would say, don't hit and don't smack. I would just say, please stop. Say, share, and also be respectful to other people. I would say, stop walking. I would say, this. Can you stop? I would like that. And just remember, you're not supposed to put our hands on each other. And just like the first grader says, just walk away or go tell a teacher. I would love to hear from you if you've used any of these strategies.
Lincoln's in the house, shining bright. Spotlights on the kids, what a sight. From juggling tricks to that dancey light. Every time.
Today we have Johnny Boy from Mrs. Thompson's class. So Johnny Boy, can you tell us how you got so good at drumming?
Because I practice. I watch the drums so I learn how to do the left hand. I watch marching band videos.
And we got a pretty good video of Johnny Boy drumming. So check it out.
We're live on the set. It's the K-Roll Show. Kids on the mic. Watch the young minds.
So yeah, so that is a weekly, we put that on every week. We got great reporters. It changes depending on the week. And usually doesn't look like that. I don't know what was going on with the neon lights or whatever, but it's a lot of fun. Our reporters are amazing and they're learning public speaking skills as well. So we use a lot of our reporters in our assemblies now who help lead different segments of our assembly. So it's about giving them a voice and then giving a voice to the whole school and helping us see what's going on in other classrooms and art projects. And what have you enjoyed, Olivia, about being a reporter, and Charlie?
What I have enjoyed about being a reporter is that you get your own segment, which makes you feel like special, and it's just like it's one thing to like make you get out there and stuff.
I enjoy like meeting new people and seeing how they talk to others and how like they say things in certain ways and just learning about other people.
And our reporters also take on a role in our assemblies. And so every assembly starts with Ms. Char here, leading the whole school through some regulation strategies. And she's able to get them calm and quiet pretty quickly, huh? So, been pretty cool.
And just really quick before we go off, we got about 100 kids, 3rd through 5th grade, participating in our after-school programs, which is great. We got about 50 kids in chess and Smile Club for STEM and Drama Club. So that's what they're interviewing there. So it's got a lot of stuff going on after school.
What's Smile Club?
We gotta, yeah. turn it
So
over.
Smile Club, it's district-wide. We're actually the final elementary school to implement it. It's science and math. So myself, Ms. Lamonaco, Mrs. Blair, we lead it. We have 4th and 5th graders doing science and engineering, and we're partnered with Oregon State University. So it's pretty cool. We're able to use their resources to help these kids, give them access to some things that typically you wouldn't see in elementary classrooms. So it's really, really exciting. And this is our first year with it. And it's been really awesome with the kids.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we had talked about even last year was our peer mentoring program, which we just got up and running. And raise your hand if you are a peer mentor currently. So thinking about how has participating in peer mentoring helped you feel that you are connected and belong here at Lincoln? Lucy.
It makes me feel like whenever I go in there, it makes me feel like I belong and I'm needed.
Charlie.
Like last year, whenever I went into Miss Olson's class, they were always like so excited for like me to go in there and just.
And we have close to 70 kids now that are paired up and mentoring. A lot of kids are mentors and mentees. And it's just a great opportunity for them to get in and help.
It's really amazing too. Like no matter how many times I have asked a student, like, hey, it's cool, let's come in the morning. Nixon, today was his first day with a student. He got him to come right in like immediately. So sometimes they respond so differently to a peer than they do to a grown up. And so it's just magical watching the older kids get to be, you know, leaders, and then the younger kids just feel so special when they see their leader out and about. Okay, so we're going to talk about Avid a little bit. So last year we came and presented on Avid at Lincoln, introducing it specifically in 4th grade. and how now it's actually kind of immersed in every single classroom. It's really exciting. But K through 5, we are doing the following things: silent hand signals, tracking the speaker, organized note taking, and daily agenda. These are just some of the goals that we agreed on for organization and collaboration. If you could go to the next slide. So these are just some of the examples of what it looks like in the classroom. So notice that active engagement through hand signals and common language. That's something that we really wanted to line on at our school, is that if you go to any classroom, we are modeling the same techniques for engagement, such as tracking, silent hand signals that these guys will model as well as organization skills. If you go to the next one. Our goal for district elementary was to include binders, folders, and 2 column notes, which are T-charts. And so we're using those in every single classroom. And so as teachers, we're aligned in what we're doing. We're helping the kids to be more organized. Starting in kindergarten, it just makes it much more successful transition for the kids as they get into first, second, third, and then middle school and high school. They're going to be much more prepared with that organization skills and also being able to collaborate with each other on these skills. So these are just some of the things that are in the classroom that we use. Here's our agenda. Here's some more notes that we're using. And it's been really successful at Lincoln. We've been using that, and we're super excited for next year because we're only going to build on with Avid. And so it's been awesome to see these kids do it, and we're excited for what happens in the future with Avid.
Another way that we're really working hard to create a sense of belonging at Lincoln is by having class meetings. They make me emotional. I had my hardest year last year, and I was one of those teachers that was like, I don't have time. I have to teach reading, I have writing, I have math. When am I going to fit these meetings in? But just going straight to the curriculum, it wasn't working. So you know what? I was like, yeah, I'm gonna start every single day with a meeting. Mondays we do Misty Monday. Tuesday is Toot Your Horn Tuesday, and that's like a compliment circle. Wednesday is Wacky Wednesday. They get to tell a joke or show a talent or tell us a story that they've been like aching to tell you. Thursday is Thankful Thursday, and Friday is Forgiveness / Fart Friday. So I'll tell you, if you want to come to any Friday meeting, please come. We practice apologizing and forgiving, and because it's a little heavy, then we all get to make it at the end. So it's super fun. We laugh together, we cry together, and like I said, I had my hardest class last year, and they became my closest, most loving class that I've ever had, and also yielded the highest academic performance that I've ever had. So what I thought was going to be like my last year ended up being my favorite year. So, and my son True was in my class, and on the way home, I was like, "Do you want to talk about the meetings?" And he's like, maybe, but I'll never forget our meetings in first grade. So, yeah. We also created this new matter board for students and staff. So this is a picture of my student board in my room. And so at any moment, students can come get a sticky note and then just write like a compliment to a friend or an appreciation to a friend. And we read it to them, and then we hang it up. And then we started it as a staff. Anytime, we don't always get to see each other, touch base with each other, but we can appreciate and show love to each other. And so we would just stick it on the board on the way to the staff room, and you might just have a new sticky up there to brighten your day and make you feel like you belong and you're important and everything.
So we wanted to share with you all how these kids feel about class meetings, their thoughts. They're the ones in it every day. So we're just gonna ask them these questions, okay? All right, what is something meaningful that you have experienced with class meetings? Okay, Nixon?
Something meaningful I've experienced in class meetings is compliment circles, because you get to compliment somebody and make them feel like they belong, and someone will compliment you and make it feel like you belong, and it makes me feel good on the inside.
Miles?
Helping things that are like bullying, help it go away.
Wyatt?
Something meaningful I've experienced with class meetings are just when you're sad, like you've had like a bad day or like a bad weekend, then and someone compliments you, then it just makes you feel good.
Okay. Olivia.
Something beautiful I've experienced at class meetings is that when you're telling a story or something and everybody tracks you, it makes you feel like they care about what you're saying and they actually like listen, and it makes you feel like you belong there.
Our next question, how have class meetings helped you solve problems with classmates? And notice they're using silent hand signals and they're tracking each other. But that's something we use, that's our common language that we use in all the classrooms. Okay, Lucy.
So we did something where we like there was an apologize thing, and they would help you solve problems with if you had a problem where someone was bullying you or making you feel like not like you belong. It would help solve.
Brianne?
Like if there's a problem that the whole class was having, then we would use like bugs and mischief to just share what's bothering us and how to fix it.
Okay.
Something that has helped me in class meetings is Forgiveness Friday. When you feel like you need forgiveness for something that you did or something, and it doesn't make you feel pressured that you're just like one-on-one. Like you could just say, I need forgiveness because I snapped at Brooklyn or something, and they would just like forgive you. And it would just like be like a good way to relieve yourself and not have it on your chest forever.
Anyone else before I go to the next question? Okay, last question. How do you feel when you receive compliments during class meetings? Okay, let's hear from Miles.
There's one.
Okay. Why?
So when I receive a compliment in a class meeting, there's just this weird feelings that makes you just feel good.
Next then.
How I feel it when someone gives me a compliment during class meetings, like if my lid's about to flip, it helps me my lid go back down, and it makes me feel good, and it makes me feel like I belong.
Kaya? Okay, Brianne? Lucy?
It makes you feel like people notice when you're doing something that they appreciate, and it makes you feel like kind of good.
Charlie?
When I get a compliment, it makes me feel like I'm wanted somewhere and I belong and people respect me.
And Olivia?
How I feel when I get a compliment in my class is it makes me feel like somebody actually is watching me and somebody cares of what I'm doing, and I'm not just doing something that is. Well, I am, but like, you know what I mean.
The best part is this has been, again, that common language around problem solving, finding solutions, being able to give and receive a compliment, right? These are social skills that a lot of our conflicts can arise from a lack of those skills. And so we're starting from kindergarten, right, to really develop those. And like Mrs. Olson said, the time you get back, right, to be able to have kids who are engaged in your academic instruction is tenfold.
And the way that they care for each other and help each other and love each other when things are hard and forgive each other is, that's more important than anything, So it's been a really special journey that we've been on.
So this is a time for us to practice the social skills that Mrs. Smith talked about, and also problem solving. So they can bring in problems from home or problems that they're having on playground or, in the classroom, or even just practicing, problems that every kid has of people cutting in front of you in line, right? And so being able to hear other opinions and perspectives on speaking up and building that trust and empathy within each other, that we're a community that supports. And so We have a predictable routine for our class meetings that have our compliments and then previous solutions. Any problems that are currently on the agenda, some kind of closing. And especially in fourth grade, I've always tried to make it student led. So that's definitely something that the older grades can do a lot more of, and learning note taking, listening to others.
Which brings us to our Belong Partners at Lincoln, which was something that's been implemented for 4 years. 4 years. So collectively, we are trying to find positive ways to reinforce behavior. Stephanie and I piloted this screening process last year. We were just racking our brains about how many different ways we can find ways to connect with students that are really struggling. And we spoke with Nicolette, who is our support with Belong Partners, and she geared us towards the screener, where we're able to collect data based off behavior that we're seeing to isolate those 4 main, I want to say
Domains.
domains, thank you, to help see the students collectively as a class versus just focusing on the one student, and then building on those skills. And then there is a second part of the screener that could help us isolate individual students and dive a little bit deeper into those domains on how we can meet them where they're at, and more intensive tier supports that collectively actually help the entire class.
Yeah.
And we saw huge progress in the month and a half we did it last year. And so we asked to do it again this year and include our teams, both 3rd and 4th grade teams. We're piloting it again as a set group where we are meeting every 3 weeks or so to go over our selections that we chose for tier interventions, how it's working, what's not working, and solution-based meetings to, again, find ways to support these students and make them all feel successful and feel like they belong.
And then school-wide, we implemented all the classes having a class agreement or a class promise, things that they're gonna hold each other accountable for doing, like listening and tracking and being respectful when they're talking. And so that will help us figure out what, needs that we continue to work on.
And the agreements were student,
Yes.
Created the agreements.
Yes.
These are the agreements you have to follow. They came up with what they wanted their classroom to look like and feel like and sound like.
Yeah.
What's the process for creating that classroom agreement? I think that's just fascinating.
Yeah, it's a whole process. So we have 2 different classes here. And so it's a lot of brainstorming with each other. So I'll just speak for mine. The way that I do it is they write down on a sticky note, what we need to do to have the best school year ever. And so they come up with their ideas. And then from there, we formulate, okay, what are the, how are they connected to each other? And so then we can come up with our agreements on that, if we're wanting to be kind to each other, well, how can we show that we're kind to each other, and what does that look like and sound like?
Is there an accountability factor at all?
Mm-hmm.
How does that fit?
So, we have an agreement checker in the class that is ask the class, hey, are we following our agreement right now? Right? If you're not, what do you need to do to be able to follow that agreement?
And we as a staff have one as well that's posted in our entryway that we all went through that same process and are continually coming back to. We just added something to it. So it's that continual, are we acting how we said we would? Are we allowing each other to feel the way we said we wanted to? What do we got to do?
With the kids, do you see any dissension when you're creating this? They seem to just.
Well, so to be able to sign it, they have to agree. And so we do sometimes have a discussion on, is there something on here that you can't agree with, and what do you need from us to be able to agree? So there have been some times where we may adjust the language or take something off, but.
Also, it's definitely a way to help you get better at your emotions. If you're getting mad, then you could just be hold on, I can't yell at my classmates because I have to read. Well, not say you just will read we will help each other learn, and then you could
Right.
It helps you remind yourself.
It's pretty powerful. I would invite you to come and walk through our kinder through 5th grade classrooms They're in every room and read what the kids have collectively said is important to them. And you will see them checking that and referencing.
Cause even in this like third and fourth grade classroom, the things that the kids came up with, like there might be some similarities, but it depends on the community of kids and.
So in the end, right, why are we talking all about this? We want to make sure that everyone within our Lincoln community comes to work, to school, and feel that they're connected and that they belong. We know that's the foundation for their success. And that it's something that we're actively doing, right? And so I want to say thank you again to the teachers that came tonight. So they pour hours and hours and hours. Yeah.
You used a really important word there, and it is about the sense of belonging, and that's the word community.
Mhm.
And it's right up there.
Yeah, yeah. They're all here. Yeah. So thank you to the students. Yeah. they're so good. And to the parents that left us. Any questions?
Thank you for the after-school activity. Yeah. A lot of time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for bringing the kids. Sam, get to come up and follow that.
Initially, yeah, that, the speakers.
Yeah. Belongs to one. Well, Sam, sorry you get to bring
Speak around each other to see.
you, sir.
Yeah.
From there to financials, how fun.
Doesn't get more exciting. Smooth transition. Good evening, everybody. The financials through October, end of October, are in your packets. I don't know if you had a chance to look at them. Again, we're still kind of right where we think we should be, plan to be. There's a couple things that are up and down, again, way early in the year. Make any real determination. Some of the things that jump out, large expenses come in October that last year came in January. So all of a sudden it looks like we're way out of whack, but it's one of the, there's so many things that we get involved with that are a one lump sum instead of an electric bill every month. So you just have to kind of gauge that. So while it looks like the expenses are a little higher than they should be, by the time we get through January, it will even out because we would have paid that particular bill early. So nothing extraordinary, again, jumping out on the revenue page there. Oh, I got this thing again. I remember to do that. Again, not a whole lot of the only thing that's a little different, we talked about how ESSER, with the end of ESSER had come and gone or was soon to come and go. We actually had a little bit of an increase in ESSER funding because there's a small portion of it that is for JDEP. So we got additional revenue for that we've spent.
What is JDEP?
JDEP is the juvenile detention
Program.
Thank you. You were supposed to jump in and fill that in for me. It's too many acronyms. I'm just used to it.
Well, I didn't know if the board knew.
Fair enough, totally. Fair enough.
wasn't trying
For
to put
me,
you on the spot.
for me, baby. So we got a little bit more, we had a little bit more funding that we had to spend this year. So there's a little uptick in the federal funds that we didn't have in the budget because we were given additional funds after the budget was put together. Small amount, but it's a plus. So we like that.
Is there something specific we have to spend that money on? Or is it just going into the general fund?
Well, no, it's actually through, actually, no, it is through the general fund. So there are, I think, we may have done some, marshals maybe, forgot what we.
The JDEP ESSER was for a SSO position specifically.
Right.
So school outreach officer. So not for just general use, but specifically for JDEP.
Thank you.
Just the notes, kind of already talked through those expenses. You see the big number down here. Wow, we're doing great. But remember that I pulled out that contingency. So it's more in the $500,000 range. Again, just timing more than anything right now. While we show a little bit over in some salaries, we're showing a big savings in some associated payroll costs, which health insurance, workers' comp insurance. So some of those things, again, are not a monthly thing. They'll come later in the year and kind of catch themselves up. Don't see anything that's out of the ordinary. It's just a timing issue again. Sometimes when we project for the year, we divide it by 12, or we don't have a specific formula of when we hit it because it hits different times of the year. So I would expect us to see in the coming months that those numbers decrease, those great savings that we're making to decrease a little bit, and not have such a high surplus.
Sam, I got a question.
Sure, go right ahead,
So,
please.
Just curious, what is the overage projected for the insurance and fees and dues? What is that? What is the cause of that? 65, yeah.
So here, great question. So we, there's a source of funding we get, there's E-rate funding, and it pays for, the government pays for certain things, during the pandemic, and we got a lot of Chromebooks out of it, but now that we don't have that, we have a few, we can do, some of our, internet access, some of our switches, so there's some things we get to take advantage of. However, what happened here is that they audited us and found out that they approved things that they should not have approved, and we had to give money back. Went back 6 years. It was an amount for 6 years, about $60,000. Not in the budget.
Right, okay, thanks. Yeah, you jogged my memory. That has come up before, so thank you.
So here's our summary page. Can I make that fit better? Can I do that, or can you do that? Yeah, you can go to the far right there. Just a little bit, there you go. So that's kind of the summary page that we use to kind of see where we're at. Go a little bit up because I've added something to this particular slide. Right there, perfect. That's good, thank you. So again, this is just a summary, kind of shows that those first two slides showed revenue specifically and expenditures specifically. This kind of puts it together. Again, variance, we're over in revenue, we're over in expenditures a bit, or actually, once you take out contingency, then we aren't. And it just kind of gives you what our budgeted ending fund balance is and what we're projecting it is right now. Just because I think we may catch up on some of these things doesn't mean that we aren't going to have some savings, and we might find ourselves in a better position. Hopefully not the other way. Right now it's projecting to be a little bit better ending fund balance. Again, very early in the year to make any determination for sure on that. The one thing that we added in that it was requested, and this is a kind of a work in progress, but added the surplus deficit spending part of this, kind of shows where the first 4 months, what our actuals are, revenue, expenses, and what our surplus is, which is great. Our budget shows that we won't have a surplus, that we are going to deficit spend this year. That's what our budget was set up for. This will not look that way next year because our revenues and expenditures will be the same or close to that. And so this isn't going to change much. It's going to kind of show what we do, but early in the year, we have the benefit of quite a bit of state funding that came in early, school funding that comes in early in the first month. So we have a lot more than we're spending. And so that's going to catch itself up. It'll drive toward this number, and we'll see that change every month. Hopefully that addresses, this is in, this is out to date. Yes.
Just to clarify, so this is removal of beginning fund, ending fund balance. This is
And
dollars in,
contingency.
dollars out. This is zero based budget. And so
Exactly.
we're negative 5,000,006.
That's how our budget was set up for the year. It's because we had all that huge beginning fund balance come in that we're gonna spend that. We won't have that next year. We're not gonna set up the budget to look that way.
And what you're telling us is this is what you still expect. This projected is not just based on budget. This is what we.
Yeah, I mean, this here is only for 4 months, so it doesn't even project that. It just kind of shows what actually has happened in 4 months. I have to think that we budgeted pretty accurately. Of course, it's not going to be exactly that, but there's no reason to think we're going to end up like this. Not at all.
We haven't seen a shift yet.
What's that?
There's been no significant shift yet.
No.
Okay, thank you.
No. But every month something else will come to light. We may want to talk about in a little more depth, but.
Thank you, Sam.
And that is reflecting all revenues, SIA, everything.
No, this is general fund only.
Okay.
That's the only thing in the budget, our main budget, that all of this is general fund.
Okay.
There are components of SIA that do participate in a way, so, but it's not here.
Okay.
We may have already taken things out of here and put them in SIA for this budget. And I guess there's a possibility that could happen even more, but I think we have to feel that this is the number that we're headed toward. Not a scary number. We knew it was gonna happen. It was because we had the revenues, the extra beginning fund balance, and we were gonna spend that. Question.
I'm just gonna say that bottom line, the July to June projected revenue and expense. That's the dashboard thing we wanna see all the time, and as we progress through the year, we expect that to get closer and closer to reality.
Right.
And yes, we knew we were deficit spending this year,
Right.
so it's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to freak out about that.
Right.
We know we did that.
Right, I appreciate you saying that too, because you can, but we knew this, and it's okay that it's this way. It just can't be that way next year.
Right.
So.
But it's good to see that and say it out loud.
Say it again?
I said it's good to see it and say it out loud, as opposed to having it kind of fuzzy behind however many extra millions we started the year with. So
Right.
I like this a lot, so
Good,
thank you for doing that.
Good. Yeah. Thank you. Partially right, for sure. Yeah, so no, I think it's a great idea too. It's something, and I hope this is kind of where we were thinking when you had a vision that we were gonna see it this way. But yes, every month we'll see that kind of both, this approach more this, but we'll see again very early in the year.
Excellent. Thank you.
Sure.
Plan course statements.
Alicia
Kim.
I ran around in between. Okay. Okay. So the first one I would like to talk to you about is essential healthcare skills. This is part of our CTE health science. Our new teacher has been working really hard creating some courses. And so this is one of her new ones. You can see it aligns with 3 different college courses, which is really nice. She's been working with RCC. Yeah, so it's kind of just an overview of just different skills, communication, ethics. Yeah, there's one prerequisite, human structure, function, and disease. What should I say about that one? Unless there's any questions about that one. Yep, okay, next one. Another one. Okay, going to the next one. Next one. What's it like?
You didn't think that you took enough time on
Okay, no, it's fine. We can just. I think we can be on the next one. Next slide. I'll start talking about it though. I think it was already shared with you that there are new graduation requirements starting in 2027 that students receive half credit of personal finance. And so the next plan course statement that I'm just going to talk about, even though it's not quite up there, is that one. It's a personal finance semester class. Even though it's not required, next year we're going to go ahead and start it with our seniors instead of planning it and then just hanging out for a year. It would be good skills for them to have anyways. If we could scroll, oh, like I tell Tanya and then Tanya tells us, okay. Maybe just down a little bit to, I was just gonna go down to down. I just wanted to see maybe right there. Maybe a little more, sorry. So sorry, you can see kind of the course outline. So budget spending, there's things about banking, saving, taxes, tax forms, the goods and the bads of credit, financial well-being. So just basically all of the financial skills that students need to be a financially literate adult. There's that too. So we'll start that next year. What's that, Kathy?
Tax bracket.
Tax brackets.
Where's Bitcoin?
Yes.
Are we doing anything similar to this now? In any of our classes as,
Well, we have an economics class now that speaks a little bit about micro and macroeconomics, but Michelle, can you speak more about if it's really
A
aligned?
little bit of financial literacy in economics, but it doesn't go.
It's
into
a
the
way
kind of
deeper
depth that
dive.
They'll be
Yeah.
able to go to in personal
Yeah.
finance, but they do cover financial literacy
Yeah.
within economics.
and this is gonna be a requirement for all students at some point.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they'll take it as a senior, it'll be required as a senior.
Okay.
The reason we chose a senior year was because for most kids, this type of information, until it's really pertinent to them, it just goes right over the top of their head, whereas, our seniors are getting ready to go out
Sure.
into the world, whether it's college, work, whatever, and so to be able to think about tax brackets and credit and debit and
Yeah.
all the things that they'll need to know as they navigate into adulthood. So
Yeah,
they'll take it as a senior.
I've heard a little bit that there's a little. Can't be resistance because it's state mandated now, from what I understand,
Yeah.
but it was concerned that it was taking the place of, or it loads up a schedule for kids more than, or requirements for kids more than what they had before potentially. But I
And
think,
Trisha's gonna talk about graduation.
Yeah.
but I think this is,
She's
I
in the
think
queue.
this is
It's
really,
just it's gonna take the place, yeah, we're not adding additional credit requirements, it's taking the place of an elective credit, and so that might be a
I think
bummer to
this is
some people, but it's probably more important.
great.
Yeah.
It's just outstanding. This is.
And did I hear, so we're gonna implement it next year, so it will require it for our seniors next year, even though it's not mandated by
Yeah.
the state for next year.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a survival skill.
No.
Okay.
Director Evans and Karen.
Hi. You hear a lot about SIA, but SIA is part of a much bigger thing called the Integrated Plan Annual Report. That includes, if you go to the next slide. I guess I could advance the slides. I have the clicker. In the integrated plan, there are several grants. 6 of them are listed. We get money for 3 of them. High School Success or Measure 98, the Student Investment Account, SIA, and then our Early Indicator of Intervention System. We're required to provide you this report annually. It's tied to a number of dollars, and we have to report to the public. So we'll be posting this information, this presentation, the budget, and some reporting requirements on the webpage as well. So we'll start with budget expenditures. I'm going to share what we're doing with Grants Pass School District, and then Danny's going to share Newbridge High School because the requirement is the same. So you see the things that those are all activities. We talked about those at the budget committee meeting last spring.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what we budgeted for, and then how we spent the money, and you'll see some dollars we had to spend more in some areas, and some of that has to do with staffing levels, trying to find staff, those kinds of things that we'll talk about and how we're responding to the report. But bottom line is we're using all the dollars we were given for High School Success, which was about 1.6 million.
Hey, Newbridge, we didn't get 1.6 million. It's pretty simple. Did you have a question?
Hang on.
So I know that, 1.6 million reported and budgeted. So was there a kind of which number in here is the thing that makes everything balance so evenly, I guess? Did you put money in or take money out? Because, you know, for
Just
instance.
adjusted money to different activities. There was no all the money it's 1.6 million. For example, we budgeted $112,000 for our ninth grade success coordinator.
Mhm.
But those costs came in at 119, so we had to draw that from another activity level because we've got to find balance.
So it
Last,
wasn't any one thing. It was
no,
just-
it's a combination of really trying, because we try to project based on what we think we know, and then reality isn't exactly what you project. So you have to do those adjustments. You're gonna see much different kinds of adjustments with SIA. Because the buckets are a little, most of this is personnel costs until you get down to our contracts, et cetera.
I think what I heard Debbie say is that you can budget, but reality is different. And so I heard you say you can adjust some stuff, but
We have a philosophy that we spend every dime of grant money that we get in the district. We will not return any money to the state. And so when something comes in slightly lower than budgeted, so for instance, if you go to line 5, the budgeted 134,000 and change for credit retrieval, but it only cost us 112,000 and something else. So then we spent a little bit more money on different things to balance that out. So the counselor at Gladiola, the SEL counselor, costs a little more, but we make sure that we spend every dime of the grant money that we get. And it's kind of like that theory that John Higgins has talked to us about. Part of what this does is it does help us in the general fund.
I think that's also called robbing Peter to pay Paul. As long as it balances at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, because there are some things like, you know, extra duty support was, you know, $50,000 more. The Avid professional learning was 12,000 less. So I just wondered if there was a makeup kind of category per se, and you're just saying it was a lot of juggling and you didn't work.
We have to use the activities that we.
Yeah, you have to keep it within those buckets.
It has to fit within the confines of the activities we listed. And then we have, like, I think Nathan said it really well. You look at all the different pots of money, and sometimes you have to take from this to cover the expenses so that you can expend all the monies, because we want to use every grant dollar we have. So you take, like, the professional development for Avid, for example, we had extra Title II-A money, so we used that to pay for that, and then you could move things around. So it's constantly looking at within the grant activities, how we can balance it out. Using every dollar, helping offset general fund costs, et cetera.
Well, it looks for careful attention to detail and an amazing job. Thank you.
Christian Sam were awesome. Wait till you see SIA. Newbridge, on the other hand, was really pretty straightforward. It is all either indirect or it is to pay partial salaries. The high school success for Newbridge was simply to pay the partial salary of a social studies teacher. We knew where that social studies teacher was on the pay scale and what the negotiated results were, so we were able to budget that one dollar for dollar without making any adjustments.
What does indirect mean?
Indirect means that every time we get a grant like this, or most every time we get a grant like this, a certain amount, I believe it's about 5.2%.
5.16.
5.2.
It changes every year.
5.16% this year. Last year was a little bit lower than that. Can be taken off the top of that grant for administrative costs that actually does go to the district. So
yeah, it changes every year. It was 5.19 for this fiscal year. I think it's 5 point something different.
5.17, 5.16.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And the salary partial, that means you had to take money from somewhere else?
Correct. So like the other schools in the district, separate, Newbridge has its state school fund as well. separate from the regular state school.
Thank you. And then the big pot of money in the integrated plan, 5.3 million is student investment accounts. These are the things we talked about last spring as well, and the things that we've been working on. Again, spending every dollar that we are awarded in the activity areas that we have identified. This is all based on community input that we got and continue to get. There's a data walk next tomorrow night. And it's really focused on are these still the right kinds of investments to get the outcomes for kids that we had targeted.
Good on that one, and then just same thing on Newbridge student investment account, partial salary for career and college advocate, and then the employer costs related to their career and college advocates, basically so we can have a quasi career center inside of Newbridge.
And then the meat and potatoes of the report outside of the budget is answering 2 questions. So we had to provide a narrative response to these 2 questions, which will be posted, and we didn't put a copy of it in the packet, but we can just share with you. For the first question, it asks about us reflecting on those investments and how did they impact our performance growth targets. So we have longitudinal performance growth targets. We look at those and say, so what's working and what's not. Some of the things for Grants Pass School District that we reflected on was a lot of our strategies center around behavior supports and interventions for students. Dysregulated students impact learning for themselves and others. So that's really been a key focus. Last year, we added some support for our homeless families with a student family liaison. We increased our academic outcomes with some career planning, post-secondary tools to support student agency navigating life after high school. And those were some of the things we reflected on. How about for Newbridge?
Real simple. Newbridge being able to buy a portion of a teacher's salary means that we can have slightly smaller class sizes. It also means that then the state school fund for Newbridge can also be used to support some CTE programs. So we have a barber shop there. We have an awesome wood shop. Those we went to the auction and saw all the things that the wood shop's able to do. And then with the career in college, we have students actually getting college credits at Newbridge, and the career college person is able to support the students toward earning a few college credits while they're still at Newbridge.
What we're reporting on for our barriers and challenges, you kind of heard it talked about. Staffing is a challenge, staff turnover, finding qualified folks to apply for jobs are classified. Turnover, especially in the area of special education, becomes quite a bit of challenge. Finding subs that are quality, that help us with our education in the classroom is also a big challenge. The other thing we reflected on is just the time it takes our teachers to do the work. It's a heavy lift for them, and finding time in their day to collaborate and learn from one another, to network, becomes challenging. The mental health needs of our staff are a top priority as well.
And if you think it's hard to find a substitute for a regular classroom, it's even more challenging sometimes to find a substitute at a place like Newbridge. So that's one of our challenges. Students come typically pretty significantly credit deficient into the program. And so that's an obstacle barrier that we try to overcome as well.
Annie, what is the enrollment this year at Newbridge?
It's about 34, 35, so
So
it's
it
just
picked up.
slightly over that 4 teacher amount, so we would technically get budgeted for 5 teachers, looks like in the next fiscal year.
That is our integrated plan report.
Actually get your answers to those things at some point?
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Are you gonna tell them that one of your challenges is the amount of time and effort you have to spend doing these plans that take away from the District 7 strategic plan?
They told us that this integrated system takes less time than doing them all separately.
It's a conversation we have had many times, though, especially if you're in a district like Prospect where you are responsible for all of this and you are trying to run the school district. And it's a one person show. So, but yeah. The state of Oregon.
Accountability looks
And
like.
I would say this, it's not ODE that's
No.
requiring this. It's the state legislature. They, and you've heard this, you heard it from Representative McIntyre out in Ashland, right? They want to see results, and this is one of the ways they see results is by having these reports. So, you know, how the money's being spent. Yes,
That's not how they see results, that's how they see reports.
well, I don't think they look at any of it, but that's.
One of the things we talked about when we were trying to finalize strategic plan was that these two should be coming more and more blended so that we don't have an integrated plan over here and a strategic plan over here. And there, this is what we tell them, but this is what we really want to focus on. But because it's what we tell them, this is what we're doing. Like that is happening. I hope.
Yes.
Yeah, and at the data walk tomorrow, you'll see us displaying the goals for our strategic plan as well as the integrated plan and showing where the alignment is coming together in those areas.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Danny, I'm encouraged that at the OSBA conference this past weekend, Dr. Charlene Williams of ODE specifically said, and she has slides and Joe took pictures of them, that under their reimagining accountability, they are concerned just like you are about that. Now, if they're actually going to do something about it, I don't know, but she said it in front of a big audience. So.
Hold her accountable for accountability.
All right. Thank you.
Don't go away.
Am I still here?
Yeah,
All right.
strategic plan.
Oh, yes, fun.
Our strategic plan committee, which a couple of our board members are on, met last month. Can you go to those handouts, Aaron? And we wanted to update you on the outcomes of that committee's suggestions. Oh, that was a slide of where it's going to be posted on the district website, but strategic plan update schedule. So we brainstormed a lot. So we've developed this strategic plan. How do we monitor and check on it? What are our next steps? And what we walked away with was first, the need to develop kind of a calendar, a report calendar. Obviously won't start this month, so you're not going to see anything in November, but starting in December, we'll get on this cycle of having kind of like this financial report on the agenda. There will be a strategic plan update, but it won't be the whole plan. Otherwise, that's all you'll ever hear about. And so we determined times that were kind of made sense with data and information that we'll have during the course of the school year. And the different committee members from that group will report on the progress towards whatever the outlined goals are in the strategic plan on that calendar. If you scroll down to the next handout, you'll see then, getting the goals established, identifying the objectives and the action steps. That's the bulk of what the strategic planning committee did. But what we didn't focus on was, Aaron, if you could scroll up a little bit, this evidence of success, who's going to be responsible for it and what's the target date of delivery. And so for each strategic plan area, which we're going to go through really quickly, we'll start with Susan reporting on this one. We went through and looked at what are our action steps and what are we going to do about it? What can you expect? Anything you want to say about that particular goal area?
Implement new core reading curriculum.
Well, we don't have to go through each one, just kind of what are some of the general evidence, pieces of evidence you'll be bringing forward? Who's going to do what?
I haven't thought it through that particular, I'm just being honest, but we'll be looking at data, some of our reading data, some of our observational data. We implemented it and we're doing it, so it's a little bit different than some of the other things where it's not done, but we did it and now we're refining it.
For behavior, if you keep scrolling.
So behavior is December, it looks like. So I think we'll be the guinea pigs for giving you a report on what it might look like. So we will bring to you some documents that show the calibration that's taken place with the learning centers. We'll bring to you some documentation about the data that we're tracking so far. We'll show you the number of room clears that have taken place in September, October. We won't have November yet, but we'll show you those types of things. We can show you drug offenses as opposed to last year versus this year, just to kind of track where we're at in behavior stuff. But the stuff on the right is all the, I call it the Joe material. It's the what exactly, who's responsible for it, and when's it supposed to be done. But we'll give you that type of information on the behavior next month.
And the third goal is the career-related learning standards. We talked about this at our all admin meeting today. And we'll be going around to all of our staff. They'll be taking a survey, which is one of our key objectives. So we'll have data for you in the month of January from that survey. We have accomplished some of the other action steps. We have the CTE one pager done. Some of our articulation bits, a website resource page has been developed. So those are kind of the things we'll report on. The next goal, I believe, is Ryan.
So we'll have some survey data for you. We do have been conducting exit interviews with our outgoing classified staff members. We'll have also some just general employee survey data. We'll also give you information over the number of new hires made throughout the year and tracking those in categories as we essentially mainly classified or majority classified, but also certified data too. As well as, for example, Friday, we had a job fair for substitutes trying to recruit sub. We have a lot of unfilled classified sub jobs every day. Thank you, Kristen, for your help in recruiting or getting the message out for that. So we'll give you just a number of data points and survey results from there.
Goal 5 is community engagement.
That's me. Yeah. And if you notice that we December is when we're starting this, because I didn't want to start it tonight, so. So we're doing the bigger overview, otherwise I'd be first. Community engagement, our goals are pretty clear, is how do we get out there more and how do we make positive news in the district? How do we get folks excited about the future of D7? And we have already begun the Alumni Association work. We've actually begun quite a few of these projects so far. And then tonight we had a nice conversation with Nathan, Joe, and I about even more community engagement and how we can perhaps get folks to support early learning and the work we're doing there. Yes, Joe.
And Gary and I met with the Redwood Foundation to talk about the potential management of an endowment, and how that is done. And we've been doing research on, there's certainly a policy that's going to have to be developed at some point in terms of how you manage. There's going to have to be an administrative component to it about who runs it. There's going to have to be an understanding of how the process works. How do you solicit funds? How do you use them? And then, of course, one of the things that Gary and I met with the Redwood Foundation again on was the management of the funds as they come in. And we're going to have a planning meeting probably in January.
And our last goal is facilities.
Our evidence for success will primarily be in the form of documents, spreadsheets, information being shared with you in terms of our maintenance plan, our cost loaded maintenance plans. We just met with the state today, as all the facility condition assessments are starting to come in, and so we are beginning to evaluate those that will help us start forming those plans. So it's hard to be an ongoing work in progress, because despite saying that we're going to have a plan in January of 2025, you don't put a plan together and that's it. I mean, we're constantly going to be reevaluating things, so we'll continue to update those as we continue to gather information.
And so our thought process on the cycle, going back to that calendar, is you'll hear a report more in depth each month. And then in July and August annually, we'll sit down, maybe in a board workshop format or some other format where we will, okay, check that one's done. Is there anything we need to tweak or add a new action or strategy based on any of the community input sessions we've had? So it's kind of a living, breathing document that annually, you'll get reports monthly, but then annually, there will be a kind of revisit. Where are we on these targets? How did we do? Do we need to adjust anything? That's our plan with the strategic plan going forward. Thoughts?
I think that's awesome. I know that's been on my mind and I'm sure everybody else's with all the work that went in to pull together a great team to make a plan. And I'm just stating the obvious, but you know, the thing that derails project management fastest is not having clear assignments, clear directive and checking in and accountability. And I think this hits all of those, so I think it's great. On the check-in things, I think maybe this is already built in and you already said it, but I think it's important, you know, obviously to hear the progress on things we're making progress on. But I think as equally important and maybe even more so, if something is stalling out or there's some new obstacle that came up that makes it so that some of our objectives are not going to be met, that is talked about as well, so that we can all kind of figure out, okay, what can we do from the board level to help get this off top dead center, or do we readjust? So I think just making sure that we talk about the successes and the forward movement, but also stuff that is just maybe not working the way we hope.
A really good point.
Pretty sure behavior won't be solved by December.
See, that kind of,
January?
that kind of expectation management is super important. And also, so we don't get to the end and go, hey, what happened to that thing? And it stalled out back in, you know, October. We could, you know, go along with the journey and see what we could do from a board level to help keep things going.
I agree. I'm happy to see this so that we're actually gonna talk about it in this room. I think that's super important. And I can really appreciate the fact that we're not gonna be able to talk about everything every time we meet. But I hope this is the minimum, not we're just meeting this because we said this is the minimum we'll do. That if we need to talk about things kind of like what Nathan was highlighting, something changes, what have you, that we may have 3 things talked about instead of 1, because it's important, not just because this is the calendar that was laid out. Hopefully that can be flexible and, but thank you for everybody that was in the room working on this. That's great.
And I would just add, the venue is good because it's a public process. And so being able, you know, those who are paying attention, you know, they can see what's going on with this big effort that we've undertaken. So that's great.
Justin.
Couple comments, just wanted to shout out to goal 6, that objective 1, item 1 is complete. So good job.
Ding.
And I have recommended it past, and doesn't always have to be printed color, but something like that could be green for green light, go, good, go. And yellow could be we're having problems, or it might be for, you know, there could be some color coding, because sometimes when these get filled up, it's easy to see the color coding. We saw something earlier like that. And I forgot the second thing, so you're good. Oh, and I know the second thing is be careful on delays though, because these are tied to Superintendent Sweeney's goals. So you don't want to affect his performance evaluation.
Maybe you do.
Well, that's a conversation for you guys.
All this incentive lining up.
Yeah, I wanted to say one other thing too. The public nature of reporting on this is extremely important. Our community needs to understand that this is what we really do. This is really what we do. All the other stuff is periphery. Meeting the goals of the district. Changing the lives of young people. Making sure there's a school that supports all the program that's needed. This is the evidence that it's being done, and doing it in the public setting, whether it's over the airwaves or in the newspaper. This public thing is very important.
Chris.
Well, I think
Making
that's
sure.
one of the discussions that's gone on is how do you make this attractive enough to the newspaper? You know, not as much, but this, yeah, this is the core of what we do.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay, I'm still up here.
I know, I knew so that-
I'm sorry.
All right.
People are gonna get really sick of me. Graduation requirements. We talked about this last spring. We talked about it this summer. We will be updating a required policy at our December 3rd policy meeting on graduation requirements. But just kind of revising again or revisiting again so that we're really trying to be good communicators of the changing diploma requirements and how we're responding to it at Grants Pass High School and at GP Flex and Gladiola as well. So for our current juniors and seniors, the top box is our credit requirements. You know what those are. The big difference, if you scroll down, Aaron, a little bit to 27, 28 can be seen. Thank you. The big difference you see is on the electives, and Alicia already mentioned it, that adding personal finance as a half credit is going to take down from 5.5 to 5 for our current sophomores and freshmen. We are going to start requiring this class next year for seniors. We will have some flexibility around it, more information coming. Another big change that isn't reflected on, no, it doesn't need to be, because we'll be coming to you with a planned course statement. Adding personal finance is changing how we're going to look at our government semester class and our econ government class, because our econ standards had personal finance standards in it. So instead, that would be a really short class, and we have 18 weeks, but there are more government, civics, oh my gosh, I just drew a blank on the other thing we're required in the new standards. Giving more time to standards that we have had to try to cram into our government class. We're going to expand that to a year-long course. I'm not sure yet what the title will be or what the units of study will be, so we'll be coming back to you for how that senior year credit requirement will look. Everything else is still the same. Career education and personal finance are part of the new law that requires our current sophomores to graduate with that as part of their credit requirements. Just trying to keep you, like, every little step we make along the way, this is what it looks like. Something else we're working on that will be coming, just planting a seed so you know, Alicia is leading the charge with developing an honors diploma in the scope of all of this work too. She's meeting with key stakeholder groups to get input, and we'll be coming to you with some recommendations for what an honors diploma will look like as well. More to come.
So there's international baccalaureate, there's AP classes, and an honors diploma is.
It's really something we try to honor the achievements of our students. We have lots of different chords. This year, you're going to see chords for science, math, social studies. It's just another way to promote academic excellence. It's a District 7 idea to help retain students to take classes all 4 years, to push themselves to achieve at higher levels, to take advantage of some of the many things we offer. So when we bring that, you'll kind of see what that outlines, but it's a little way to honor a little bit more just for District 7.
Will you have things like magna cum laude on the diplomas or anything?
No,
Okay.
no. We'll have more details for you when we meet with you next. Things we're working on. Yeah.
I'm just.
So I guess I'll call this the minority report. The flip side of what happened with personal finance. Yes, it'd be great if the kids could learn that stuff. There are many, many things that our students, it would be great if we had the time to have a course for. And it's kind of a principle actually comes out of economics. It's the seen versus the unseen. related to benefits. So everybody can get behind personal finance because they can see it. That's good for kids. That's gonna take an elective. You're kind of like, we don't like that they have less electives, but we can't see what those less electives look like. Not that there's anything we can do here, because this is a mandate coming out of Salem, but just trying to express the idea that continuing to add things, they're good things, but you don't get to see the other things that would have happened if you hadn't done that. So I guess that's my point. Like, kind of like personal finance, but I'm not sure it was really a great idea to reduce electives.
I see your point. It's like the Career Academy, all those different activities are great, but there are some kids who don't need them as much, and it takes away from the academic plan that they already have. And sometimes we can mitigate those conflicts by having packets. Do you foresee being able to do the finance class in a packet at some point?
You mean like an online? We don't have, currently we don't have packets for any of our core classes. There is packets for some of our students, but not in any of our core classes. We do see eventually offering, I mean, even as we're brainstorming this personal finance, and Michelle can speak to this a little bit better, we're requiring it, but we're going to be open to planning it at lots of different times. One of the reasons I mentioned the honors diploma is, as you know, our students can graduate with 28 credits. This is a 24 credit minimum. We have a number of students who stop taking classes their junior and senior year. They don't push themselves. They stay at home. They might get a job, might not. And we've heard and listened to you over the years about we need to find a way to keep kids engaged, keep them wanting to take our electives, keep them wanting to be a part of Grants Pass High School. And so the honors diploma, that's one of the things we're hoping motivates, like, you take advantage of everything we have to offer, take more credits than the minimum. 24 is the minimum, but at Grants Pass you can earn 28 credits. And there's a variety of ways, whether it be an online class or in person, that you can achieve that.
Trish, I applaud that. Studies are very clear that once a child gets into the 9th grade, the reason why they choose and stay in school is not because of the academic program, it's because of boastable accomplishments. It's boastable accomplishments and social connections. Those two things, and that's a boastable accomplishment that a student can look at.
Yeah.
And it can drive them forward.
We got some really positive feedback from the Parent Advisory Council when Alicia was picking their brains a little bit about it, about kind of our guidelines and what we might develop. It's a common thing in a lot of districts. They offer that as a way to create things students can boast about, and a way to keep them connected beyond the minimum of what's required.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about overt boasting necessarily. It's personal boasting, boasting to yourself.
100%.
Sense of accomplishment.
We have been so surprised at the motivation of the additional chords we've added over the years. I mean, kids are working harder for those kinds of accolades for themselves.
Yeah.
Really.
Great.
You get me one more time.
You're up again, Trish.
But I'm not alone. I'll be quicker than him. So Senate Bill 238, legislators passed this law requiring districts to have an opioid. You'll find you kind of struggle with the word opioid prevention plan. Part of that involves curriculum. So at 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, as well as once in high school, there are specifically designed lessons that teachers from around the state came together, put together with health experts on the dangers of opioid, see now you did it to me. Opioid use. And Tommy will tell you a little bit more about that, but they are required in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Aaron, if you go to the next handout, you'll see there's a link that takes you out to the lessons in this handout, in this annually required prevention lessons. But there's much more required of districts than the lessons, and that's where Tommy will talk.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a lot more, but there is more. I'll share just a few things that are important and relevant to us. When it comes to opioids. I did it on purpose. It's drug use is down, teen drug use is down across the country. But the spread of fentanyl is on the rise, and significantly so. And that is a synthetic opioid. Well, part of the requirements are that we communicate out to our families the dangers of fentanyl. And the second piece is sharing the plan that we have in place. And I'll talk about this little packet here in just a second. But why is this relevant to our community and our kids? Because I shared that the spread of fentanyl is on the rise. Fentanyl is very cheap to produce. It's odorless, it's colorless, and it's often mixed with other drugs that teens, kids, adults may be getting their hands on. Why are specific drugs out there? It's really to combat pain. But our kids are experiencing them more so because oftentimes there's also a sense of euphoria that comes along with it. That is a side effect. That's not to say that we don't have kids that are facing some physical pain, but also many with mental health issues or challenges, and just the challenges of being a teen today is really, really difficult. And so sometimes dealing with anxiety and depression is a way to, this is a way to address that. 84% of drug overdoses in teens are unintentional, and that's because they're not sure exactly what they're taking. They're not sure about the potency of it. They're not sure how their body is going to react to it. And so that's a really challenging thing that we face. It's crazy that we have to have these conversations and plan for this. We're a school that, a district that wants to educate kids and have them prepared for life post-secondary. And we're having to have conversations about how do we stop an overdose from happening. And so we have to communicate out the dangers. That came out in the newsletter a couple weeks ago. There was a article in there that we were required to send out. And then we were also required to communicate what our plan is, what we do about it. And so we had to communicate out that naloxone is basically what will counteract an overdose. And this is what we have in each one of our schools. We have them in sometimes multiple locations, but the majority of them are with our AED devices. And then a number of our schools also have them accessible in the front office. How do they work? So what happens when you overdose with fentanyl or certain other drugs is that it slows down the breathing process. And most people who overdose because of fentanyl will pass away because they stop breathing. And so this is to stop that from happening. The neat thing about naloxone, and all of ours, you may hear it referred to as Narcan as well. That's the actual brand name. It's a squirt to the nose. after you've done some similar things like you would if you came across somebody that potentially needed CPR. You're gonna check a few things and it's a squirt to the nose. You usually wait for a couple minutes and most oftentimes, somebody's going to come out of that, but at other times it could require 2 or 3 doses. The other great thing about it is you're covered by the Good Samaritan law that you're not gonna get in trouble for using it. And what's great is if it's a suspected overdose and it's not really an overdose, there's no ill consequences to having this squirted in the nose. So Scott, can you come up here for just a second? It's not very difficult to administer this. Like I said, it's a squirt in the nose. We have had staff members, mainly our front office people and our admin team that has been trained to administer. Obviously, we're going to call 911 and we're just making sure that we can do what we can before we get the paramedics there to take over and do the work that they need to do. But we do have these in all of our schools, all the way down to the elementary level. We have not had to use them, but we have kids in our district who have experienced overdoses and naloxone has saved them out in the community. So it is here, it's real, and we needed to communicate that out. The other 2 parts that are in there that we don't necessarily specifically have right now is a board policy with specific regard to naloxone, and we haven't had a policy committee meeting to discuss that further. We will need to do that. And so expect that to be coming fairly soon. We only got this information in the last month, although we've already had some plans to be able to institute the lessons in the classes prior to that. So we're responding to this as quickly as we can, and then continuing to foster community partnerships. We've had Max's Mission come and speak, and what else do we have?
Alex's story.
Yeah, so we've had them come, they presented at Parent Advisory Council, they've presented in a number of our health classes, but continuing to just form more robust community partnerships. So we'll be continuing to work on that. I know there's an interest in this area. I know you were interested in getting DARE back in the schools, and this is just a little preview that Highland in January will have their kids, similar to what Lincoln did, sharing about the DARE program and how that's going at Highland. So a little bit about Narcan.
Got a question.
Naloxone, yes.
So you mentioned that Narcan, that we have it in the schools currently, so is it in classrooms?
And our AED machines in front offices.
Okay, so you got one set. Is the idea at some point to have teachers trained to use it and have them actually in the classrooms, or?
That's what we'll work on with our community partnership. Yeah, how we go about that. Right now, it's not teachers that have been trained. It's been our front office people and our, some of our, I don't know if you have as a dean.
SROs.
SRO has done, our marshals have done it, our administrators. So we've got multiple people in every
Are there
building.
any obstacles or resistance, say from the union, maybe concerned about having that additional duty in the hands of teachers? And I only ask that because we went through this at my work. And we're working through that right now with the union. Everybody agrees that we need to have Narcan and you know, we can get it for free. For some of the same groups that you mentioned, but we're working through the idea of putting that additional duty in the hands of an employee.
Yeah.
You know, for the state.
Oh, sure. I think there'll be some pushback, but we already do a number of other things that our staff members are required to do. So when you have a diabetic in the classroom, then there's special training that comes along with that. So you're prepared to, you know, administer the support that's needed. When we have students who experience seizures, there's trainings and expectations that come along. So sure, everybody will have some nerves when it comes to this type of stuff, but it won't be completely foreign because we do have a number of things. All of our medication administration, if you have kids in your class that require it, then you're getting some annual training on that.
Just adding another.
Okay. Good. Thank you. So I'm curious, can you open up the little package and show me what's in there?
Try it out.
Is it an
It's like,
inhaler
it's-
or spray bottle?
So just like a little inhaler, similar to what you may see with asthma and whatnot. If CPR is required, there's a shield in here, so you're not actually having to put your mouth right on top of somebody else's mouth. And then there's directions that are sitting right in here that are very, very simple to follow. So that's what comes in each one of them. So I'll let you
All right,
take a peek at it, pass it down, and I'll collect it again.
thank you.
Yeah.
All right, you're up, sir.
Yes, a couple things, I think pretty fun stuff that you might be interested in. The administrative team, with the help of Linda White, you met Linda last spring, is doing a book study, connecting through conversations, and it's a book that talks about how to connect with students and converse with them at their level, and it's written by a friend of ours, Erica Bear, who's the superintendent at South Umpqua School District, was at Ashland Middle School for a lot of years. Good work that we're doing there. This group is really committed to professional development, not just for their teachers and their EAs, but for themselves as well. And I appreciate the hard work that they have been doing. Each month, the group gets a chapter that they have to prepare for, and so we'll have another meeting next Tuesday, right, at Lincoln? It's your month, right? Okay, yeah, don't forget you have to feed us too. Right, okay. And so I thought you'd be interested in that. One of the things I was asked to do when I arrived was to make sure that I was doing evaluations for the administrative team here at the district office. Just wanted to update you that that is taking place. Everybody did their goal setting with me in September, and we're working together. I've been observing our principals as well. I went and saw Tanya run a meeting, and I saw Robbie run a meeting over there. So I've seen Trish run some meetings across the district, as well as Susan, quite a few folks. Robert, I was over there to see Robert and B Hall. So just wanted to let you know that evaluations are happening, observations are taking place, professional development taking place with this team, and answer any questions you might have about any of that. Super duper. So the other one, I have a group of, I basically call the nerds of the rectangle table, which is in my office, because Tanya came by one day and said, "You guys are like the Knights of the Round Table." No. That is not us. She was thinking positively. I was thinking honestly. Anyway, it's Sam and Ryan and Tommy, and sometimes Danny joins us, and myself, and we talk about culture throughout the district. And we've had some fun things like ice cream delivered to all the schools, and the crew helps us out and to get out to every place. A couple of Fridays ago, we cooked breakfast for all the custodians, maintenance folks, and office managers. That was interesting because we kept popping breakers, and we'd think pan was heating up, and it really wasn't. But we got everybody fed, and we had a good time. It was nice visiting with folks. Everybody went and kind of sat at a table and talked. We delivered pizza to the bus barn, and sat and had lunch with the folks out there, answered their questions, just making connections. And some of the, I don't think anybody in the room knows it except the five of us, is that we'll be doing some coffee deliveries throughout the schools in the month of November, right? And we're working on finalizing those plans Thursday morning and coming to a school near you. All right, so it's just something to continue to create culture. We also have, and that's important, and it's good work, but we're also working on systems. So the team's really called the Culture and Systems Team, or Systems and Cultures Team. We talk about how one of the things I said to folks was and this was last March 1st, on March 1st, 2026, what would you want to have accomplished over these last 2 years that we have not tackled before? And so we've been working on systems and we do check-ins. This group checks in quite a bit. And so there's really that side of the building, and then there's the curriculum side of the building, which is Danny, Trish, Susan, Vanessa, and those folks, and we talk about, and they meet quarterly to discuss what systems aren't working, how are we gonna fix those systems so that we're in a better spot in March, on March 1, 2026 than we are today. So those things are happening as well. Happy to answer any questions about our little culture club.
Tim?
Yes.
When you leave the groups, when you do the pizza with the bus folks or whatever, do you guys all go and you have conversations with them?
Yeah, the five of us went and we sat at the tables and talked to folks, and I found out that, oh shoot. Get their names now. Who ran off and got married on the?
Greg and
Natalie, Greg and Natalie were getting married the next day out at Indian Mary, rain or shine. And they were going up the Sun River, right? So, yeah, fun things like that. And we also get asked other questions like.
Was that a workplace romance?
What's that?
Is that a workplace romance?
That's up to them, just because he drove the bus and she was the, yeah. But, you know, you got asked a very serious question about, and I forget what it was, but it was very politely asked, what was.
About negotiations or that's?
About negotiations, yeah, and she was wondering why we always screw up, don't fix things.
Paychecks, that was paychecks.
Paychecks, always screw up.
I think that
Paychecks.
that's really important. I'm glad you guys are doing that.
That we screw up. paychecks.
Yeah, saving money.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's kind of serious allegation there. What kind of paycheck?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I walked away. I was HR's. I wanted to go talk to other people.
Did you phone a friend, Sam?
No, seriously, yeah.
Tim's waving. I got
Sam, someone's talking to you. That's why we brought you along.
Community listening.
I think what Debbie wants to hear is we're taking care of that.
Oh, yes.
Systems are improving.
Sounds like everything else.
Systems are improving, yes.
What's special about March 1st, 26?
It was just 2 years. We had a meeting on March 1st, 24, and just like, are we just gonna be content in 2 years from now that we've just accomplished 2 years? And we're that much closer to retirement, or do we really want to get something done? So those are the things that we want to get done. Culture. Obviously, strategic plan is a big thing, but I mean, beyond that, what do we personally want to get done? We want to create a culture that people enjoy coming to work, and they have fun at work. And we want to make sure that whoever we're handing this off to in the future will have better systems than perhaps we inherited. Is that fair to say?
Fair to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tim, this is serious, I think. Again, it gets back to the mission. Every time we have a conversation like this, what's the evidence that we're supporting a mission, a learning community for all? And when you talk about building the culture, to me, that's again, evidence that we're following the mission for all. It's not just for students, but it's for all. I think that's just one terrific thing out there doing that.
I ran out of Dutch Brothers cards. The wife cut me off. So, but there were a lot of people coming up to me and telling me the vision or the vision statement. So
Winco Raspberry.
Winco Raspberry
Coffee.
That's what we're getting people. So yeah, Ben's like
less expensive. Sure.
You've tapped out.
Can't get a donation request for that?
Well, we almost bid on the one at the
Auction.
at the Booster Club auction, but I wasn't gonna spend $2,000 for a $1,000 gift card.
But we could maybe work out a
So
partnership.
Tim, I think all those things are great. Thanks for reporting on that.
You bet.
I think that's fantastic for the district. I love that you guys are getting out into the schools. That's some of the stuff that I was kind of hinting at for the board to get involved with when I was asking about getting the board out into the schools.
Yeah.
A few, what, a month ago or whenever we had that.
Yes, it
conversation.
was.
So,
Yeah.
anyways,
We'll keep
that's
working
great
on
that
that.
you're doing that. I love that.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome to come sit at my desk any afternoon.
I'm sorry.
Very simple.
Come to Center Point.
6.1. ODE. Reading score clarification follow-up. Right?
Is Debbie giving that one?
Yeah, she's out. She's the one here.
So, we sent a letter off to ODE asking them to give us some better clarity on what meeting benchmark on third grade reading was. And then they responded and said, that's really hard to answer. We need a couple more months. And it's been a couple more months. So I think it's time to send them another letter and say.
More like a year?
It hasn't been a year. Has it been a year?
Maybe
No.
not.
I don't
It is
think
the
so.
start of the spring.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, I just think it's time we send them a letter and say, hey, you still haven't answered the question. I will say, up with the OSBA conference, I did manage to meet up with Dr. Williams
Dr. Williams, yeah.
and explained to her that she hadn't answered the question.
Oh, good.
So now Dr. Williams knows who Gary Richardson is.
So she's expecting the letter.
Did you meet with Emily from OSBA?
No, I didn't.
I did.
Did you? I'm glad somebody did.
Okay.
So do you want Tanya to
So-
resend the letter? Do you want to rewrite the letter? What do you want?
Well, I think we should respond to their response and say, your couple months are up and. Typically at work, I just say, you got any update on this? So however you want to word it. But to have the board send the letter back saying you haven't answered the question.
Send a picture of Gary. So remember.
She won't need a picture. Gary's memorable.
Just say, hey, we're still
waiting for.
Recent.
The community school board.
Yeah, strange name tag on. 6.2, school board network. You guys in your packets have this school board network. Hugh reached out to me, said that it was a free service, that they were gonna look to build a network of schools that were wanting to have a collective voice. And that in return for being a part of that they would send us bills to keep track of and that were of concern through the legislative session. No cost, no nothing, just needed to talk about it. Hear everybody's thoughts before, or if we say, put our name on it. Oops.
So I will say I have talked to Hugh
Mhm.
and his better public education probably aligns with our community fairly well. So if we do this, I mean, this is kind of a political move. We are lending our name to his school board network, which makes it easier for him up in Salem. But I would think we align pretty good with him and being able to get some feedback about what's coming out of the legislature and having him push some of our ideas back wouldn't be a bad thing. So I would be in favor of doing that.
So is this a membership with dues?
No.
No.
That's okay.
Yeah, if you look at number 1, it says informing, updating, and briefing school boards and their members on bills under consideration by the legislation or legislature during session that will directly impact you negatively or positively.
Who are these people really?
Well, so that's the thing. You should be under no illusion that it's just it's a one-way street. He's gonna use our name. when he's up in Salem. So,
He's collecting a membership to use as a collective.
Do we have any other names? That have signed on the dotted line?
No.
I don't,
I don't either.
And this is the first year, but Better Public Education has been around for,
He just reached out to me.
You go points doing this.
I don't know.
yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I don't know.
but you reached out to Hugh. Do you, anything about him in the past? Like, is this a brand new thing that just happened last year or
He's
has it been around for a while? We just don't know about it?
The school board network is a brand new thing.
So it's basically lobbying on behalf, well, the part of this is lobbying on behalf of like-minded boards and communities.
Right, I would
Yeah.
say
And-
that's the whole thing.
And what is the like mind? You say it's political. Are we talking something far right, something nonpartisan, or on the left?
Well, he gives an example under item 4. But do we have does he have a website? Does he have like,
I've received this and said I would share.
okay. So Debbie, under item 4, he goes on to talk about what Senate Bill 1583 would have allowed legal action against school districts, so it sounds like he's got an opinion there and.
By all means, feel free to investigate it more.
So is this something that it requires a vote of the board, or is it individual members, or?
It could go either way. That was a
Okay.
question that I did ask.
Hmm.
Obviously, I think it has more power for him if it is something we want to go with, that it says grants passed. As opposed to individuals.
I personally think because boards have. Many boards. Not all boards have broad ranges of ideas and thoughts. Unless there was a vote taken of some sort. And it was agreed upon as a board. But something like this, for me, it would have to be a unanimous. I don't see how we could, because there's
It sounds like, I mean,
there's a political component to this thing, and I understand that. And I certainly, there's things in here that personally I can support. But I think should be more individual than board.
okay,
At least
I-
that's my thought right
yeah.
now. I mean, if an
Does it say
individual
the
on a board
lobbyist is
chose
for
to be
either point?
to participate, that's one
Is he
thing.
the lobbyist for either point?
And if someone chose to participate, would it be good or bad taste to say they are a District 7 school board member? You know, this
Good
guy's looking
questions.
for authority for his organization. Is that
I
giving
can give you who's
that
number.
authority or that reputation that perhaps not the whole board would agree to?
It's considered, I believe, even policy. That if you are not acting as a board member, you do not use the board's. Right?
Right, yeah.
So you have to have permission from the board, much like Gary and Joe did when they said, we would like to go out and talk to people about. These endowments, and the board said, yes, go ahead, all right? So if an individual were to say, I was going to be a part of this, they would not say they're a grants pass school board member unless the board approved that they could identify themselves as such. I believe that's policy BBN. You might want to take a look at that. I don't know if there's any urgency tonight or if we should come back with more information at the
Yeah, I think more
December
information.
meeting.
I think more
I think
information
more
is good.
information. Because I'm
Take
talking off.
take a look at BBN and see what
And I'm
that,
gonna say, give you a call if you need more information. That's
Yeah.
all I have.
I mean, I would just say in general,
Yeah.
having lobbying power is a good thing. There's a reason why we signed on to CSBO to increase that, and not all lobbying is always gonna fit a community or a board. OSBA certainly doesn't support everything this community would go along with, but we are members of OSBA. So it's not always you don't always throw out the baby with the bathwater per se. But in general, I think increased lobbying can be a good thing.
I'll add one more.
I don't know much about this, but I think it'd be good to learn more about it.
I'll add one more thing to that. At the conference in Portland, I attended the Rural Caucus breakfast, learned a little more about that. We're part of,
Whale.
yeah, we appealed to be part of the Rural Caucus, even though we don't quite match their description of what it means to be rural. But that's another vote at the OSBA board level that we have some influence for. And it's also another avenue for us to align in certain areas and lobby and put pressure, you know, on OSBA and on the legislature. So I thought that was good. And we have our Region 5 representative voting for us. And so as a region where we're also fairly like-minded in certain areas, we've been talking a lot about the upcoming legislative session and how we're going to get the feedback of all the news and blues that are coming out of the session. How much information do we want and what are we going to do with it? So there's a lot of activity already happening in this arena in those areas.
That is the one part that interested me with this was that they would be sending us emails along with OSBA. But everybody has a different perspective.
Yep.
What's important, and I'm a ferocious bill tracker. And it would be nice to have somebody else helping me.
Yeah.
I love the idea. I agree with Nate. I think lobbying has there's a lot of power in lobbying. And I think that anytime that we can lobby for something that we as a board and a district believe in, it's a good thing to try to influence. I need to know more about who these people are.
Yeah.
Maybe
emails at the
maybe it's a
bottom.
question to ask them, hey, can we get 1 and 2 and leave off 3 and 4 for now? This two-way street that Gary's talking about. We'll do a trial of getting some information, but don't use our name. Maybe there's an opportunity to do that.
We can put this on the next board meeting, and in the meantime, we all can do some more checking into who.
Only thing
Who
I
and
would
what?
highlight before we close it out, everything that I've seen, I don't disagree with. I really like the fact that this gentleman highlights a bill that we were concerned about, taking away local control is something that he helped to squash. So I think that's something that almost across the board, we've all been very interested in not losing local control to the state. So anyways, that's one of the big things about Senate Bill 1583 is that it took things out of the hands of the local school boards. So I like that, but I agree. Let's look at it more.
Moving on to action items, 7.1. Oh, what?
The other board.
Nah. Sorry.
New business?
Good try.
Is there anything else anybody'd like to say during board reports and special concerns?
I've got something. I'll pass this down and Tanya, I'll give you a copy so it can be in the public record. A hot topic. So you go, right? A hot topic around the country, of course, is AI and the applications of AI in the educational environment. And Dustin may be aware that that was a topic at the OSBA conference, which unfortunately I missed, but it sounded like there's some discussion about that. But, obviously AI is a technology that is going to have applications in almost everything we do. And I've been doing a little research, around the country, what different school districts are doing to try to come up with policy to guide that. Some are going straight to, this is new and scary, we're not touching it. And they're, going to that extreme. And others are looking at it as, well, this can be a very powerful thing. This is the way the world's going. What can we do to harness this and make it good for our educators and good for our students, providing some guidelines. And so, one that I pulled off the internet, this was a school district in Georgia, actually, the Taliaferro County Schools, if I even pronounced that correctly. But they give kind of a pretty interesting balanced food for thought on all the different things to think about when it comes to AI and how it might apply for educators and for students. What are you laughing at? What's so funny?
Well, we're laughing because on our drive home from OSBA, we used AI to
Oh,
create an AI
That's
policy.
right, I heard about that.
Fairly
Just to see what would happen.
Is it really similar? That's hilarious. It's possible they did that. That would be hilarious. I've had some, how many people have Chat GTP on their phones? Okay. It's amazing. It's amazing. It does come with some risks, but you know, I had an experience in our church. We don't have a paid pastor that speaks all the time. We take turns, and I was asked to give a speech one Sunday, but I thought it was the next Sunday. And so when I was told that Nathan Sable would be speaking to us next, I went, holy cow, I had prepared zero, nothing. And my son texted me later and said, you need to download Chat GTP. And he was right. I put in, try to talk about this, and it just spilled it out, this beautiful sermon. You know, that, I mean, the power of it is pretty amazing. Anybody that's played with that. But it has all kinds of implications in the educational environment.
Back in
And-
my day, they called that plagiarism.
Yeah. Yeah, just for the record, I did not use it.
I would have loved to see you dance though for an hour.
I was dancing, but it worked out. But there's a lot of things to think about when you look at this, you know, FERPA implications, violating privacy and data security, bias and discrimination, replacing human interaction. AI should not replace essential human elements of teaching and mentoring. While AI can augment teaching, it must not substitute for the personalized and empathetic interaction between teachers and students. High stakes decision-making, you know, unvetted educational content. And then it goes on for the students portion of the policy. Anyway, obviously, there's a lot to discuss and talk about, and if we pursued this path, that I would highly suggest that we do work on this. I know that the governor's priority has been around phones, has been that they want districts to take up phone use policy in the schools. And I highly suggest that we also work with this, perhaps even simultaneously, and have discussions about this. If we have room, maybe starting in our December policy meeting, if there's room for that. So I just wanted to bring up that conversation. And
All
I
right.
think this would be something good to work on. Yeah.
I might mention, one of the hot topics, 15-20 minutes with 3 different areas was on policy. And I got a optional OSBA, kind of more of a rough draft than a, boy, this is the end story on an AI policy. And then one of the main speakers at the convention was Eric Scheniger. And I can give you this little thing here.
The archive.
And he's got, and I bought one of his books, and he's an advocate for some applications of AI. It's here. How do we use it best? And he says it can be a huge time saver for some teachers and administrators. But I am more cautious about spending resources of time, energy, and lawyers' money on policies that haven't been kind of already worked by other people's lawyers and other people's money and resources, instead of trying to do it all on our own. That's
Sure.
just
Well, I would
where I'm
imagine
at.
anything, if we were to work on this, I would imagine anything we worked on would be also vetted by our attorneys. But
Well,
this-
I would rather not spend our money on
Yeah.
our attorneys. I'd like somebody, well, like for the cell phone policy, some lawyers have been working on this for 2 years. I'd rather use that expertise than contacting our own, for implementation and the whole thing.
Well, this is food for thought. The one thing I liked about this, and there's a lot of examples, obviously, but
Yeah.
this AI generated policy actually advocates for AI, but using it in a real positive way.
So,
And I-
Debbie, you know that AI has passed the bar exam, right?
Oh.
It's it's an important topic.
Where?
It's
That's a real.
it's up and coming. And I think we should try to stay with the curve. I don't think we're gonna ever be ahead of the curve. We're already behind it on this topic in particular, and I think it's worth a discussion.
Anybody else have a board reporting special concern?
Well,
Update real quick. I'll do his policy BBM. Keith questioned my knowledge. It's policy BBAA. I apologize.
so another workshop I went to at the convention was on the suicide prevention laws and put on by a couple of ODE personnel. And I really appreciated that workshop, and I appreciated the expanded presence of ODE at the convention. You know, instead of just two little guys in white lab coats up in Salem, these were real people. And with passionate and helpful information, I think we're already doing everything that they suggest to do. But I found it helpful. And then I thought it was interesting. I was having trouble with the app for the convention. And so I went and talked to the IT guy, and he was a Grants Pass graduate. And so it was fun. You know, it's fun seeing our graduates being successful and doing helpful jobs. And then I don't know if anyone has mentioned, but Cassie was not having problems with the convention app, and in
Where is
fact
it?
got a huge trophy for racking up points and using.
She got social interaction points, earned second place.
Smaller fish, Joe, smaller fish.
So that was, you know, made us glad to be from Grants Pass.
Well, Debbie, if I would have reached out earlier, I could have helped you with the app.
She'd have had to been on that. What, because the guy from Coos was.
Had twice as many, you know,
Yeah.
unbelievable. He must have lived
There's
there.
nothing to do with Coos.
I'll say one more thing about the convention. They have kind of the vendor section, and you know, there's like the food service people, and they're like, oh, you're from Grants Pass, you guys are cooking your own food, so you can pass by. It was kind of cool. And then the folks were there that installed our lights, so we had a conversation with them. And then there was a really cool flight simulator there that people got to play on, and they were showcasing Salem's school district.
Trish is very
CTE.
excited about these flight simulators.
And
He's
boy, it
showing
was
that-
really
he's showing
exciting.
that.
You
to
should
listen
have
to,
seen
you know,
Justin's face when he came out of it. He was
Whether-
enlightened.
whether it's something, you know, for Grants Pass or not, I know we're doing some of this already. And we have partnerships with Pacific Aviation. But just to hear the breadth of their program, and it's aviation mechanics, piloting, and drones. All boring stuff that nobody wants to do, but it was, you know, I could really sense how cool their program was, and really see how it just prepares their students to go right into the industry in something that they want to do. And even just looking at the partnerships they have too, that we could have with like the Civil Air Patrol. They said they get STEM kits for building drones, for example. And how cool that is. So,
It's not
yeah.
drones. Way cooler.
We were also, Michelle and I were also impressed with the athletic training program that Sprague High School was doing as well. So they were right next to the flight simulator. Some really cool things happening there. Trish was excited about that too.
Too many text messages from these two. We need to do this, we need to do this.
Awesome. Anybody else? Right, yep,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
So the rural school board caucus, I did the morning and the afternoon session. They're just now kind of getting their feet under them, but they are a voting member for OSBA. And I'm gonna do probably why we appealed to join is because they do have a lot of the same values that we have. And their budget's pretty small. And some of these districts are very rural. And
Helix has 8 students.
yeah.
But they think they might get 2 more.
20% growth.
Big growth.
So, not for tonight's meeting, but just what do they call it, plant the seed. I think it might be worthwhile for us to support the rural school board caucus in some financial way in the future. So, anyway. My other item from the school board convention was the keynote speaker. And the interesting thing about
Which speaker?
Brandon
Fleming.
And that's the second time he's been there, and you should look him up. And
He came here last year.
Well, that's true.
Year before.
Any rate, he's done lots of cool stuff, but
He was here
with
for
kids.
45 minutes.
We got every dime out of them.
He's actually changed his message somewhat.
Yes, he has.
And I would say kudos to the district here. He has aligned his message with the Lincoln belonging presentation that we had tonight. It's and the nerds of the square table. Because if I was to summarize in a short sentence, his message, it was that it's about the experience, not the curriculum. So just wanted to say I went up there and spent 2 days and found out we're already doing that good stuff here. So congratulations.
Thank you for saying so.
Now?
Not so much. It's me. It's less me. The lady over there has been texting me. What is it you need to know?
Many of you have shared some frustration with how we ran the policy committee meetings. Some of you felt that we wasted a lot of time. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but the policies that are optional or delete, or it might be just a word that's being changed. And so we're spending a lot of time on that. Joe talked to me a little bit at OSBA about making our time more valuable in those meetings. I think the directors would agree. Because the process used to be, we brought the policies to you, highlighted, lined out, this is, you know, what the suggestions and recommendations, and it was voted on. But some of the directors wanted more of a say in that, and they wanted to see all policies, our original version and the OSBA's suggested version. So,
The board.
yes, sorry,
Directors.
the board did. So that's what we did.
Board of directors.
So that's what we did. That's how we came. That's how we came to how we came to for this year. So now we're getting ready for December 3rd. And Nathan, did I just hear you say possibly a second meeting on policy in December to look at AI?
No, I was just, I don't know what's on the agenda for
Gotcha.
that policy meeting, so I was just suggesting if there is room,
Is there-
you know,
I would say no,
Yeah.
because those are two big policies. And right now, December 3rd, as far as I know, it's gonna be about the library policy. And that's gonna be a bit, that will
Okay.
take up the entire meeting.
Well, that's news to me, so that's fine.
So,
but
well, that's what
I'm
we had
just-
said back in September, that's,
Okay.
we were gonna hit it, and so we did get the summary today. And there are multiple things about the library or instructional materials policy on the summary. So before Trish and I sit down and hammer this all out, I just want to make sure that we're gonna bring to you how you want it. Do we want to restructure it? Do you want to look at policies that are optional? Do you want to look at policies where it's just one word or two words that are changed, but the intent of the policy is the same? What do you want to see?
Well, I guess I'll speak for me. I like the way that we're doing it. You know, there was a particular glut of policies at the last few months. It's not always that same type of workload, but I think, you know, policy is the central thing the board does. And so I like the way that we're doing it.
There's about 35 on this next summary. It's pretty big.
Tanya, you can't see me, so I gotta get your
Hi,
attention.
Justin.
I also talked to Joe, imagine that. It was surrounding the idea of how the board spends its time, especially since the policy meetings are basically board meetings. And I think the AI policy that we just talked about is a good example, and I think there's an opportunity here to create some ground rules for how the board is spending its time. So for example, if one board member brings up the idea of either pulling an existing policy or adding a policy, that before we even launch into that the board would essentially have a meeting and discuss the merits of whether we should spend our time on that now or maybe not now, or when's an appropriate time or whatever, and have an opportunity to discuss its priority essentially. So I don't know what that looks like and don't know exactly how that dovetails into existing policy. But just thought that was a good point of discussion. And it just, and not to point you out on the AI thing to bring it up tonight, but that, I think that's a good example. And I'll go one step beyond that. In the past, I've had a little angst on non-policy issues of a single board member might ask Tim to do something based on a discussion that we've had. Kind of more of an informal, like, that sounds good, can we do that? Maybe an example tonight, although it's super minor, is Gary asking that the district send a letter to OSBA to follow up on their lack of response. Perfect example, because I hope that's non-controversial, but at some point, a request like that might rise to the level of maybe it should have the board's approval. And I don't know if all that needs to be formal, but I can see where a direction like that could lead the district, pardon the term, down a rabbit hole of spending a lot of time and energy on something that's one board member's request and not a unified voice from the entire board. So it's similar to the policy idea. Should this board create some guidelines around some of the direction we're giving for the time we're going to spend on policy, or the time you're going to spend on some sort of request for? And I'll raise my hand and say this at the conference. I got so excited about breakout session we went to. I said, Tim, we got to get this gal down to the district and have her do her thing, you know, meet some of the directors and all this stuff. And Tim being a good, you know, I serve at the pleasure of the board kind of thing, is like, all right, I'll look into it. Well, I called him later because I was having the conversation with Joe and I said, you know what? Pull off on that. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I think that's something that I'm thinking about. Like, it wouldn't make sense for me just to be asking him to do something that doesn't have the voice of the board.
Would that be something that we could do as a workshop or a retreat? Not Cassie's kind of retreat, but I think that would be, we can work through some of that at a workshop.
To me, it falls maybe more under, we talk about Robert's Rules of Order and that sort of thing. I don't know if that's the the kind of thing that is, but it's really just that we would work together on not just the issues, but whether you think of a legislative sessions, what issues are we even going to tackle?
Mhm.
So it's like the pre-meeting of setting up a plan for how we're gonna be spending our time and how we're gonna be spending Tim's time and your time.
So I think that, and you're saying, let's schedule a workshop, Tanya.
Well, it ain't gonna happen in December, people.
No,
The
but-
calendar is full. I'm like,
But I
Um,
think that that's where those topics and those
Between the
discussions.
26th and 31st.
yeah.
That's where that would go is a workshop.
Yeah, I don't,
Conversation.
not that we need to spend time on it tonight, but I don't think it needs to be that complicated. You know, we've done this in the past where we've kind of done little informal votes. You know, we could have just done it with Gary's request where it's like, hey, is everybody okay with that? Yeah, we're okay with that. Send-
However, I think that's
Wait.
kind of what,
For the record, it's on the agenda. I didn't just throw that in.
yeah. So there
Right,
there is
gave
that
direction
process.
to the district and we didn't vote on it, is all I'm saying.
Well, but also nobody disagreed with it.
Right.
Well, and I will say. You had voted on sending the original letter,
Correct.
Right.
but I do hear what you're saying, Deb. I do hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
So all that being said, this December 3rd meeting is going to be. On. I don't even know why I'm forgetting it because I should.
IIA.
Well, but we have some others that.
And there's a few stragglers that we need to take care of, but I don't see us doing anything more than that. So then it would be the January policy meeting where we would do the summary. To get that done, because what happens with that is a lot of times when you guys see on a policy and it says. Reviewed or whatever, 2004. This is how that happens, is because it's looked at, it's like not a big deal, not a big deal, it's optional. So if it's ever come back around, it just doesn't get looked at. The majority of the time, that's why that year is like that. It's because we just didn't look at it. So if we look at it, whether you change anything or not, that date will get changed, and then we know it's updated. But it's when we don't take care of it, that date never changes.
You know,
That makes sense.
this all really relates to board operations. And I think Cassie's idea that if we're gonna look at board operations, because Dustin was talking specifically about board operations when it comes to policy, and we talked about that. I think it's not gonna get solved between now and January. Okay, I think we need to say, first of all, it's not gonna get solved between now and January, but it's something that we could potentially work on if everybody wants to work on it, and that's streamlining the process. So that the most noteworthy and, for lack of a better word, essential policies we deal with. But there's a way to get the other ones out of the way without us or you being hamstrung with time. So
Well,
I think,
they line that out on the summary.
yeah,
They tell you which ones are the ones that need to be.
right.
Yeah.
But I think what Cassie said about having and I'm talking about a 2-day retreat, I mean, but I think having
Sun River.
having some sort of retreat where we get together and we hash out a policy for policies, or we hash out a process for dealing with policies.
So is that something that you want me to schedule in January?
Negative
I think that's-
ghostwriter, the pattern is full.
I think that's too soon. I think that's a summer thing, to be honest with you.
So then do we continue on in January with the summary as we have done the last few meetings?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
thumbs up.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay. Good to go.
yeah. But I think we need to keep it in the top. I personally would like to see it kept in the top forefront of our minds for.
Okay, so we'll add it to like July calendar.
The only reason I mentioned anything to you and Cassie about that was that last meeting, probably the hour before we got to library stuff. It looked like half the people in the room were asleep. That was
Yeah.
why I brought that up.
Yeah.
So as long as we're all caffeinated and ready to go, let's do it.
If the directors aren't asleep, we're good. If the audience is asleep.
Director Thompson
everybody
was
gets-
talking.
Let Gary
about
talk at
a lot
the
of
end.
things Towards the end there that nobody seemed to be super focused on.
Well, I know how.
I don't think that was it, but.
I would even say that if we could get through the top of summary, If we could get through this summary, you could do a session earlier, because then when there is a policy committee scheduled, but there's really no policies, we've done the summary and we finished, we could take that date that's already set to revamp how you guys want to do it. It's just a thought.
Process or our process.
Workshop and a board operating agreement. Okay. 7.1, everybody done? Very good. Action item 7.1, OSBA elections. Southern Region. I believe that is our option. We can abstain, take no action, or vote for Dawn. I think Dawn's a nice lady. She gives a lot. I would accept a motion.
I move that we accept Dawn as our candidate, as our representative for Southern Oregon. For OSBA.
Position number 5.
Position number 5, yes.
Member Smith seconds.
Having a second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, do we vote out without Nathan? She disappeared.
Yeah.
Not to point it out.
I'll just use discussion for people who don't know her. She's very approachable. She comes to us and asks us questions. She wants to do kind of, you know, what's best for our region and give us information, but also receive it and act on our behalf. So
I would say she's, for the sake of discussion while we're waiting for Nathan, she's incredibly available, willing to take what we say and apply it in her position.
She ran the meeting for the Southern Oregon region and did a very good job, I thought. Explaining what's going on and soliciting information and viewpoints. And has really grown tremendously in the job.
Agree.
And I remember the last legislative session, she was always sending emails about timeframes for committee meetings and who to contact, and is very committed to this position.
Excellent. Nathan, we have, that was our discussion on the OSBA election for the Southern Region. We have a motion to vote for Dawn.
Thank you.
Yep.
I had to run to the bathroom.
I'll take it.
Member Goodall,
Yes.
Member Smith.
yes.
Member Sable.
Yes.
Member Brownell.
Yeah.
Member Schmidt.
Yes.
Member Richardson.
Yes.
Yes. 7.2 OSBA resolution to amend OSBA dues schedule. We also can. Let's see. Those are the only ones we have tonight.
Wasn't there supposed to be 3?
There's a third one, it's at the bottom.
I move that we vote no, do not adopt for the resolution 1 amends the OSBA dues schedule.
Sable seconds.
Any discussion? Does everybody understand it?
It doesn't seem exactly fair to the middle class, middle numbered districts.
In other words, it's not equitable.
We're carrying more of a load.
What?
We're carrying more of a load than others are.
Yes, yes.
Although there are 8 students.
In Helix.
Okay. Hearing no more discussion. Tanya?
Member Goodall.
Yes. Do the motion.
Yes.
Yes to the no motion.
Yes,
Member
we should
Smith.
get
This is
that.
where
Yes.
they're bad people.
Member Sable.
Yes.
Member Brownell.
Yes.
Member Schmidt.
Yes.
Member Richardson.
Yes.
Member Wong.
Yes. 7.3 closure of IDT slots.
Right. As the IDT
Oh, that was
turns.
on.
There's more on You're not doing those?
Yeah, there's one more resolution. There's two more resolutions.
Then 3 and 4.
Yeah, there's 3 and 4.
But all it says is due schedule. All right, there's more. You want me to put that?
Go ahead if you want to make a motion.
I don't have a motion. I gotta catch up. So, sorry, Danny.
No, you're good.
There are two other resolutions that were not on here as an action item. Do we want to take those? Or take them at the next meeting?
Is there a reason to wait?
What's,
They're not due till
when,
December 15th.
yeah, that was my question, yeah.
Yeah, so we can just move on.
Okay,
Do we
I
want
have
to move on?
So the thing that you have in there, which is the ballot, I have to fill out and send in by December 5th.
Mm-hmm.
We'll bring you more information.
Okay,
We need more information instead of just amending our agenda and adding it and voting on it.
We can do that. Absolutely. Go and check those.
Sure. Member Dibdall moves to amend our agenda to add a vote for resolution 2 and a vote for resolution 3.
no, it's 3 and 4.
Well, it's
No,
resolution
2 and 3.
item 3 and 4.
Resolution 2 creates the Oregon School Board Members Pride Caucus and designates a seat on the OSBA Directors and Legislative Policy Committee. And then resolution 3 adopts the proposed amendments to OSBA bylaws.
So we can take those together. Or,
At the next meeting.
no,
No,
he's amended the agenda.
He's made a motion.
So we need
a second
second.
to amend the motion. Amend
Amend
the agenda.
to add them to the agenda.
Yes.
Member Smith seconds.
Wait a second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, Tanya?
Member Dibdall,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Yes.
Brownell,
Yes,
Member Schmidt,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Member Walker.
Yes. Okay. And take,
Do you need me to cut those resolutions or?
No, they.
no, we haven't. So we could take these separately or together.
Member Smith, motion to vote no on both resolution 2 and 3.
Member Dibdall seconds.
Hearing, having a second, is there a discussion?
Did I hear, there's discussion, did I hear correctly at that meeting that if this were to pass, then there would be no more caucuses? Because like this would be the last one?
Well, just under
They're taking
Sammy's
a
tenure.
pause.
Oh, gotcha, okay. Is that what, that's what? he
Sammy's
said?
not gonna add anymore, but Sammy is
Gotcha.
also.
They would be taking a
Yes,
pause
very-
after
It can
this
become a
caucus.
very unwieldy,
They're already at what, 27 board members?
something
24?
like that. I think it's
Mhm.
24.
Yes, this would make it 25th
Yeah.
board member.
Yes.
so
But-
I found it interesting at the OSB Roadshow when they were discussing these resolutions. The Black Caucus, which is already in place, for their literature already use the people who are wanting to have another place at the table. And I kind of feel they already have a place at the table. And it is an unwieldy group and they're asking for more money. Well, every group that they add costs more money. So it's not exactly fiscally responsible for a relatively small group that's already being represented to use more resources.
Okay. Any other discussion? Tommy?
There was something, I'm actually not sure how legal this is. There was just a court case decided down in California about designating a seat for a specific underrepresented class that was defeated in the court system. I had sent an email to Dawn about it. I never heard back, but also from that standpoint, I don't know if it's the best idea as well.
I'm sorry, Chad, I didn't really hear what you said.
I can forward it to the board too. I sent Dawn, since I wasn't gonna be able to attend, I sent her an email just asking a question about the legality of designating a seat for a specific class of individual and the legality of that, because when you set that seat for a specific individual, you are now excluding anyone else for running for that seat. And so the legality of that, in my mind, is in question, and there's a court case in California that just defeated a very similar seat for, I believe it was for a teachers union. So anyways, from that standpoint, I had a lot of questions about it. I didn't hear back from her. I can send it to the board as well. I can forward my email to you if you want.
Member Dibdall?
Yes.
Yes, on the no. Member Smith?
Yes, on the two no's.
Member Salem?
Yes.
Member Brownell?
Yes.
Member Schmidt?
Yes.
Member Richardson?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Back on the path, 7.3.
Yeah, it's about that time of year. I think you saw Lincoln was an excellent example of elementary classrooms are up, they're running. They've done those things like the social contracts, they've got students in place, they've got relationships in place and that kind of thing. It is time to go ahead, we believe, and close the inter-district transfer slots for the rest of this year. The only things that would remain open would be if you're a student that moves in the middle of the year, you could still be a remainder of the year student and remain in the district. Both superintendents also have the ability to approve a hardship request if that comes in, but just the general in and outs, elementaries are tight. And just bluntly, this time of the year, we get more school shopping because I'm dissatisfied with the school that I was in than we do. We really want to be here for the programs. And so based on those things, we are recommending that we go ahead and close inter-district transfer slots. And besides that, Superintendent Sweeney talked about goals. My goal was 170 net inter-district transfer slots or I would lose employment. We are now at 173, so we can go ahead and close the employment.
Wow, is it that clearly stated?
He's kidding.
It's amazing how that can motivate.
The actual deal was you get to 170, I'll take you and Jenny to lunch.
So it was better than
A positive incentive rather than a stick. So if I'm understanding that, so the 175 inside the district movement. Not coming from outside.
Nope. So we had a total of 248 people that came from outside of our district wanting to join us, which is a measure of, we are a destination district in our community still. People like our programs, they like our schools, they want to be here. But we did lose, I guess that would be in the range of 60 so kids that went Medford, Glendale, Three Rivers, so forth and so on. Does not include the charter school transfers, but did include other inter-district transfers. So a net in 173 students. Sam can give me the math.
Yeah, good job.
So it's a sizable increase in ADM funds too that comes to the districts.
Okay.
Yeah, Debbie.
So I had one question I don't quite understand. The GP Flex elementary numbers. So we've got 109 in elementary and GP Flex.
No, we have 109 total slots filled in our regular school programs. We didn't have any interdistrict transfers in GP Flex. The ones on the right just show what the numbers total are with GP Flex added into it. So really, we had 248 into the regular school programs. We had an additional 16 that went into GP Flex, so 264. Total. That's what that is.
Right,
Yeah, not 109 elementary students.
yeah, because there's none in the
Yeah.
comparison report here.
Right, there's only
I'm
three.
thinking, I don't, yeah.
In the enrollment report.
Excellent. I would entertain a
Thanks.
motion.
Member Schmidt moves that we close the IDT slots with the caveat that the exceptions could be made as discussed.
Member Sable seconds.
Having a second, is there discussion? Hearing none, Tanya.
Member Dipdahl?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Yes.
Member Sable?
Yes.
Member Brownell?
Yes.
Member Schmidt?
Yes.
Member Richardson?
Yes.
Member Logan?
Yes.
Thank you.
7.4, you can remain employed. We like you. 7.4, approval of 24-25 budget calendar for the 25-26. I would entertain a motion.
Member Brownell, I move we approve the second and final reading of policy JHCCF.
We can take that one too.
No, you want to do that?
It was for the budget.
Oh,
7.4.
pardon me, I skipped, sorry. I move that we approve the do we want to talk about it first?
No, we need to have a motion first.
I move we approve the 2024-2025 budget calendar as presented.
Member Schmidt seconds.
How many seconds? Is there any discussion?
Yeah, what if the legislature doesn't get their job done in time?
That's a moot point. We have to submit a budget to the state of Oregon by June 30th. Even if they take till June 25th to submit. Tell us what our actual budget is.
Sometimes you don't get it till August or
Isn't
September.
Sendai on the 25th?
Say it again.
Isn't Sendai on the 25th? I think so.
So could we amend our motion to tell the legislature they have to be done by June 1st?
No, they really need to be done by like May 10th.
Oh, May 10th.
Yeah, they need to get their act together.
Gary's reimagining
They say that in
accountability.
microphone, sir. Read that in.
Sorry.
Not a man.
You don't want to
Okay.
amend the motion to send. a
Any
letter
other
to the
discussion?
legislature?
I'm just gonna send Gary up.
Yeah, I can write it for you.
Any other discussion? Dustin? You look like. All right. Tanya?
Member Dipdahl?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Yes.
Member Sable?
Yes.
Member Brownell?
Yes.
Member Schmidt?
Yes.
Member Richardson?
Yes.
Member Logan?
Yes. 7.5, I think we need to
Table that.
table, if that requires.
That does require a motion to table.
Yeah. We'll take a motion to table 7.5.
Member Smith motions to table 7.5, which is the approval to join the school board network. Until we get more information.
Member Schmidt seconds.
Make a second, is there any discussion? Having previously had discussion, Tanya?
Member Dipdahl?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Yes.
Member Sable?
Yes.
Member Brownell?
Yes.
Member Schmidt?
Yes.
Member Richardson?
Yes.
Member Logan?
Yes. Debbie, this is it.
I move that we approve the second and final reading of policy JHCCF.
Ridiculous.
Second and final reading of policies to be deleted and or replaced. So policy JHCCF.
Member Dipdahl seconds.
Having a second, is there discussion?
Well, this policy took a long time and many meetings, but glad we finally got.
Oof. Thank goodness. Took a while. Yeah.
You seconded it?
Member Dibdall?
Okay, sorry.
Is this one on the leaderboard?
It's just for the
Okay.
record.
Member Disbell,
Yes.
member Smith.
Yes.
Member Sable.
Yes.
Member Brown.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah. 8.0 is future meeting dates and suggested agenda items. 9.0 is
oh, wait, we got OSBA convention.
Yeah,
When
it's
we
still
go
on.
to that,
coming up. Let's go.
then next year.
We're just gonna
we
get
take
it
off
done.
8.2 also.
Yeah.
So tomorrow.
Don't forget tomorrow night, we have the data walk.
Mm,
You'll get a lot of information about how we're doing with the investments we've made. I believe dinner is from Orchid Grill. So, all right. Aloha. Right.
all right. Adjourned.